अलग
Dr. Jyoti ji, your mic is muted perhaps.
Good morning, sir. Good afternoon, everyone.
Yeah, good afternoon.
all. Good afternoon. माइक को स्पीकर मुळे हे होते होल्डिंग मारते. Thank you for inviting us today. I think Narendra Bhai had a hand in calling me in.
Vinod bhai, Dr. Deshpande, who was principal earlier, before Dr. Ujjwala Bendave ji has taken charge. So once we, along with Dr. Rajan Singh, had visited their college, and then Dr. Jayashree and Dr. Jyoti, they followed it up, and we had visited Khadakwasla, and they wanted to see the, what do you mean by Ugam to Sangam?
Okay.
So we had a trip and along this river to show the contrast of, polluted water and the fresh water.
So for the first time I'm meeting them like this, I'm happy.
Yeah.
So yes, it's almost 12 o'clock now, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, so we will start exactly at 12 o'clock, sir.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's 12 now.
Madam.
Just one technical question. Is this being recorded, ma'am?
Yes, sir. With all your permission, shall we start with our program? Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Bharati Vidyapeeth deemed to be University New Law College, Environment Cell, in collaboration with Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, I, Dr. Jyoti Dharma, welcome Honorable Dr. Naren Chuk sir, Honorable Shri Vinod Bodhankar sir, Honorable Advocate Rajendra Uma, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, Dr. Ujjwala Bindale, Dean and in charge Principal of New Law College, faculty members, and dear students. Now I request our Dean and in charge Principal to address the students.
Thank you, Dr. Dharman. A very happy International Water Day to everyone. Welcome to the Star Talks on Sustainable Use of Water, organized by Bharati Vidyapeeth Deemed University New Law College, Pune's Environmental Cell in collaboration with Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, headed by Dr. Jyoti Dharma Madam and coordinated by Dr. Jayashree Khandare and Advocate Aniruddha Kulkarni Sir, Member Environmental Cell. With your permission, may I just make a call to Umap sir? I don't think he has joined. Dharma madam, he has joined?
No, sir has not joined us.
Okay, I'll just 1 minute check it on.
Yeah, sure.
What has gone wrong? Might be the link is not open. I'm so sorry.
Please do the necessary.
Yes, sir.
We'll wait.
Okay, sir is joining, sir. I'm so sorry, Chak sir and Bodhankar sir. There was some official duty on his part and he said he'll join 1 minute. So we shall continue. Dear all, the main purpose of the International Water Day is to support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal and endeavor to provide water and sanitation for all by 2030. And thus today, we are blessed by a very prominent environmentalist, Honorable Dr. Narendra Chuksar, river activist, senior member of Pune Jal Biradari. And also, we are blessed with a renowned stalwart, Honorable Mr. Vinod Bodankar sir, joint founder, Sagar Mitra Abhiyan, Pune. I also wholeheartedly welcome Honorable Advocate Rajendra Umap sir, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa. Welcome everyone. Today, I'm here to formally introduce you to Bharati Vidyapeeth, deemed to be university. Bharati Vidyapeeth is A+ accreditation in third cycle by NAC in 2017. It is awarded category 1 deemed to be university grade by UGC, and it has been ranked 63rd among universities by NIRF 2020. The institutions of Bharati Vidyapeeth were accorded deemed university status in 1996 for its academic excellence. Bharati Vidyapeeth programs are offering programs in innovative and emerging areas. Presently, it has 29 constituent institutions, which includes 3 major research institutes. It has multi-campus and multidisciplinary programs, and of course, it is catering to the needs of urban and rural students. It has world-class infrastructure and facilities. Bharati Vidyapeeth has launched several innovative academic programs and has best teaching learning processes and has entered into national as well as international collaborations. So all this academic excellence of Bharati Vidyapeeth has been possible only because of Honorable Dr. Patangrao Kadam Saheb, the founder of Bharati Vidyapeeth deemed to be university, a visionary who at the age of 18 years decided to establish Bharati Vidyapeeth as a distinct educational institution. Today, Dr. Patangrao Kadam Saheb is the guiding star for whole of Bharati Vidyapeeth fraternity. Bharati Vidyapeeth is also blessed with a dynamic chancellor, Professor Dr. Shivaji Rao Kadam sir, a brilliant academician and down-to-earth personality who zealously maintains the academic excellence of Bharati Vidyapeeth University. Stepping on the footsteps of Honorable Saheb and Sir is our young and visionary patron, Honorable Dr. Vishwajit Kadam sir, Secretary Bharati Vidyapeeth, Pro Vice Chancellor Bharati Vidyapeeth deemed to be university, member AICTE, and Honorable State Minister, Government of Maharashtra. Supporting Dr. Vishwajit Kadam sir is Dr. Asmita Tai Jagtap, Executive Director, Bharati Vidyapeeth Medical Foundations, Office of Health Sciences, Pune, Sangli, and Navi Mumbai. Today, under the excellent guidance of our beloved patrons, New Law College has been consistently ranked amongst top law institutes of India. New Law College has been re-accredited with A+ grade by NAC and has also received Gold Star Award from Bar Council of India on the eve of its Golden Jubilee celebrations. And New Law College is awardee of prestigious Best Legal Aid Center Award 2019 by the Knowledge Teams, New Delhi. And recently, it is the awardee, New Law College is the awardee of Best Law College in India for Research and Pedagogy by IIRF Education Impact Awards, New Delhi. So the best practices we follow at our institutions are international collaborations, innovative interdisciplinary programs, international placements, continuous and clinical legal education, and social justice through free legal aid, NSS activities, and finally, to mention the environment activities through the environmental cell. So the environmental cell of the college has managed to organize n number of sensitized programs, workshops, seminars, webinars, industrial visits, and the community activities by virtue of which it has obtained a great reputation among the circles of environmental defenders, activists, and other stakeholders who are engaged in protecting the environment. The Environment Cell has undergone a pledge and is dedicated to serve the community, not only wide its various academic programs, but also by reaching out the community and by engaging itself into and one-to-one interaction with various members of the society. The Environmental Cell has earned its name and fame in no time, and its research work and ground activities were highly appreciated by the renowned environmentalist, member of parliaments, and senior advocates. So the core aim of the environmental cell is to carry out the activities in support of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals as envisaged in the agenda of the Global Sustainable Development 2030. And so with your blessings, Achak sir and Bodankar sir's blessings, I think the environmental cell is going to progress and progress and progress, and we are going to maintain this particular reputation of the environmental cell and the college and the university. So I request for your blessings in coming years and support for many more activities. And once again, I express my gratitude towards all your dignitaries, and I rest my speech. Thank you so much. Over to Yash.
Yes, yes. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Today with us, we have a special guest, Honorable Advocate Rajid Umar, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Maharashtra, Goa, from 14th August 2019 to 2024. Sir is also ex-Vice Chairman of All India Handloom Board, Ministry of Textiles, Government of India from 2008 to 2010. Sir is also the trustee of Chinchwad Devsthan Trust, Morgaon, Siddhatek and Theur Ashtavinayak from 2017 to 2024. Sir is also the Vice Chairman of Shirur Taluka Janhit Pratishthan, Taluka Shirur, District Pune. Sir is also the Secretary of Vikas Pratishthan, Chandan Nagar Taluka Haveli, District Pune. Thank you, sir, for joining us today. World Water Day, held on 22nd March every year since 1993, focuses on the importance of fresh water. World Water Day celebrates water and raises awareness of the 2.2 billion people living without access to safe water. It is about taking action to tackle the global water crisis. A core focus of World Water Day is to support the achievement of Sustainable Development Goal 6, water and sanitation for all by 2030. As we know that right to clean water is a fundamental right recognized by the Supreme Court under Article 21 of our Indian Constitution. So today we have a two eminent personality with us on a start talk on the subject of sustainable use of water. Our first speaker is Honorable Dr. Naren Chugh. Sir is a very prominent environmentalist. His contribution towards river regeneration has been immense. Sir is the coordinator of Pune Jal Biradari, which has undertaken the task of re-energizing the Agrini River Basin. He is also the founder trustee of Jaldindi Pratishthan. He has equally been associated with Muta and Pavna Jal Maitri Yatra. In 2015, Sir participated in Stockholm Water Conference. Now I request Sir to address the student.
Thank you, Madam. I thank the organizers, New Law College of Bharati Vidyapeeth, and my respects to Rajendra Umar ji, Ujwala Bendale ji, Jyoti Dharma ji, Jayashree ji, my young friend Yash Harshvardhan ji, and Vinod Bodankar ji. Yeah, I am delighted to be part of this Star Talks on sustainable use of water. So when I was looking at this topic, this suggests a very, very wide, if I take a wide angle look of this topic, then sustainable, according to me, in Hindi word is used and it is Sanatan. And that means, I was looking at the dictionary, that means Sada Bana Rehne Wala. So we want our water to be always in this pure form that is received. So Sanatan is a much more comprehensive word than sustainable. Perhaps Hindi words can explain a deeper meaning of what we mean, and our English language doesn't pack all that information or all that meaning or all that depth that we intend, because a lot of meaning is associated with the word Sanatan. And though Sanatan includes sustainable, but it is much more than that. So sustainable use of water. What actually we are looking forward is the water security. We don't want water only for current times, but we want security for all the times to come. We don't want water only for our generation, for all the generations to come. So it is such an important factor. I mean, it's a life sustainer. It's a life sustainer. We cannot live without water. We cannot conceive of nature without water. We cannot conceive our life without water. So when we speak about water security, ensuring the water security, what we are trying to look at is, unless the water cycle is secure, my security cannot be ensured. Water cycle means the entire natural water cycle that we have been reading about since our childhood days. We understand that the water gets evaporated, it forms clouds, the rain drops on the land and hills and mountains, and through streams, it goes to the rivers and back to the sea, while nourishing the entire life on the river, on the land, while providing all the moisture that is required for food production. So water security ensures our food security. We cannot even conceive about food security without the water security. So it is much more fundamental and much more primary, not only for the human beings, but for the entire natural cycle, the net ecology, the total biodiversity, जिसको हम प्रकृति कहते हैं. You know, for the sustenance of this entire prakriti or nature, water is a very integral part. And unless we secure the water cycle, we cannot ensure our water sustainability. Now, what do you mean by taking care of the water cycle? As we saw that through cloud formation, the rainfall happens, and we have also understood that due to erratic, the climate change setting in, there is erratic rainfall. And this rainfall, whatever happens through the streams, it goes to the rivers and back to the sea. Now, when we say we have to protect and see that our water cycle remains abadit, or water cycle remains uninterrupted, then we have to take care of our streams, our rivers, as well as our oceans. So when we have to take care of the streams, that means currently our streams, our rivers are facing three types of main problems. Mainly three types of problems. The first problem is of encroachment. The second problem is for pollution. The third problem is over-exploitation. We have used so much of water that we have completely dried up all our water resources, or at the verge of drying up the water resources. So the first point, the first challenge to ensure that the water cycle remains uninterrupted is to ensure that the streams which carry the water are not encroached upon. That means whatever are the streams, they are not getting silted. To ensure that they don't get silted, the plantation in the trees help us in checking the erosion. So it's, when we talk about the water cycle, we are talking about rejuvenation of the entire nature. We are talking about the rejuvenation of the entire ecology. And if we have a very holistic view, only then, working within the available overview, we would be able to kind of ensure the water security. So the first issue is checking the erosion, and that checking of erosion can happen by ensuring that the deforestation of the catchment areas do not happen. You know, deforestation should not happen of the catchment area. In our case, all the Pune rivers and our Krishna River, Godavari River, Koyna River, Bhima River, all these rivers are basically getting originated in Sahyadris. So if we have to protect our rivers, if we have to ensure the water security, it is very important that we take care of the Sahyadris. Because if the Sahyadris lose their forest cover, if the Sahyadris lose their capacity to stop the erosion, the Sahyadris will not be able to act as a sponge and release water into our rivers. And hence, it is very important that the protection of the Sahyadris, the protection of the catchment area. Entire Sahyadris become the catchment areas of our rivers, which are feeding Maharashtra. Basically, if you check Godavari, if you see Narmada, if you see Krishna, and if you see the west flowing rivers, the 5 river basins of Maharashtra, are all the important and major rivers have their origin in these Sahyadris. So when we talk about sustainable use of water, the use comes subsequently. The first comes availability of water. So unless we ensure the water security, the availability of water, only then use of water efficiency becomes the main focus. So today, though we have a topic of sustainable use of water, I would like to dwell mostly on ensuring the water security. So when there is a perennial supply of pure water, I think usage, if the people get involved in ensuring that our water cycle is uninterrupted, my water security is ensured, then water use efficiency becomes the part of that, a subset of that. Because if we do not have sustainable supply of water, if we do not have uninterrupted supply of water through our rains, if the climate change takes the toll on the rainfall pattern, even then our water security is threatened. So we have to look water security in a larger perspective and ensure that the forest, the catchment areas survive, which will also prevent soil erosion. Because when there is rainfall, the soil also flows up with the water and gets deposited in the drains as well as the rivers. So the water carrying capacity of the drains and the rivers is compromised or reduced rather. So when the water carrying capacity of the water bodies like streams and the rivers is reduced, that causes floods. So whatever water was required to be stored, to be impounded, to be conserved, flows away into the flows away in the form of floods, and it ends up away from us, away into the sea, and we are not able to use the water and nourish our life. So the most important part is that we have to check the erosion so that they do not get, our streams and rivers do not get silted, and also their water carrying capacity is kept intact. Second most important point of encroachment is, especially in the urban areas, there is a tendency that the river lands and the stream lands are encroached upon because the land rates here have gone from the roof. So whatever are remaining are the common lands. These river lands are common lands, and hence they tend to be encroached upon, as the ownership of that is nobody's concern. Rather, everybody's concern is nobody's concern. So they get encroached upon, and hence also the water carrying capacity of these drains, of these streams, and of these rivers. Even the riverlands are getting encroached upon, and very heavily in the urban areas. So all this also affects the water security very, very adversely, because whatever water would have got impounded, whatever rainfall would have got impounded, and our streams and river would have been flowing, that space is now taken up by the silt and the soil, and the water runs off into the sea. Second most important challenge is the pollution, because our streams and our rivers are getting polluted through discharge of untreated sewage through the localities, through the community, as well as it is getting polluted through industrial effluents. And hence this water, though available in plenty, especially the Ujni Dam downstream of Pune, though has a large storage of water, but that is not drinkable water. There was a research done by PhD students in Sholapur. Their study has shown that the Ujni waters are polluted to the extent that they are not potable, not fit for human consumption, neither fit for agriculture. More on top of that, they are causing cancer. So we can be, I mean, these are PhD studies. There are YouTube reports available on that. So even if the water is available in plenty, it is not available for drinking purposes, for agriculture purposes. So this is a second big challenge that affects our water security to a large extent. And hence we are forced, because all the rivers and streams are polluted, we are forced to purchase water at 20 rupees a liter through bottles. So first is the encroachment, which threatens the water security. Second is the pollution, which though the water is available but not drinkable, that also affects our water security. Not only affects our water security, it spoils our health, because the health of a human being is so deeply interconnected with the health of the rivers. If the rivers are not healthy and not carrying pure water, if the river health is not okay, we human beings cannot remain healthy. There is a deep connection between the river health and the human health, because if any food is cultivated through the polluted water and we consume that toxic food, we cannot remain healthy. So in all ways, if we consume water directly polluted or consume toxic food produced on the polluted water, it affects our health very, very adversely. The third issue is overexploitation of water. When the groundwater is exploited, in the sense we go deeper and deeper, 200 feet, 400 feet, 500 feet, 1000 feet, then we are extracting so much of groundwater because the surface water is already dried up. So whatever groundwater is available, which has been stored since millions of years, because at this depth of 1000 feet, 1200 feet, it takes water to percolate at that level thousands and millions of years. So whatever water currently we are extracting from the ground is that old, and we are not recharging. Our efforts to recharge the water should be more than whatever is the discharge or whatever water we extract from the ground. But that is not happening, because we are extracting groundwater to such a large extent. Even that is contributing towards drying up of our rivers. So these three major challenges are at the base, at the root of our water crisis today. So when we address all these issues, we will be able to ensure our water security. Not only our water security, the sustainable availability of water. Because if we do not address these challenges, since I am speaking to the law students, I would like to place some things before you, that many laws, many environmental laws, many water pollution laws are currently available, which can provide protection against these. If our water bodies are encroached upon, streams are encroached upon, rivers are encroached upon, there are case laws, there are laws to ensure that these encroachments should not happen. I would like to also place before you that there is no river policy in India. So it is the kind of a duty cast upon learned friends from law colleges to see that at least there is a river policy, national river policy, no, national river rejuvenation policy, whatever term you give it. But every citizen has to see that he contributes to the water security issue, to see that the water crisis is taken care of. Whatever talent, whatever niche area they are working on, they should be putting their efforts to see that this is taken care of. So river policy is one of the main issues. And when we are framing these river policy, then this river policy should take care of all these three and many more issues. There is not only liquid pollution, there is solid pollution to a large extent. And so what I believe is that the river policy should take care of these issues. And if the young students of law study and take up these issues, perhaps the way after our independence, the Constitution was framed. Constitution of India was made. We strongly believe this river policy will be of equally that important, because the life of a human being depends on the rivers. The life, water, jal hai to kal hai, jal hi जीवन है. तो ये जीवन की भी constitution हो सकती है. River policy, it is that important, the way we see it. Another important point I want to place before you, because I am speaking with the legal faculty, in 2017 in New Zealand, one of their third largest river, not a small stream or a small river. In New Zealand, one of their third largest river, Whanganui. It is spelled as Whanganui. Whanganui River. It flows through a tribal area. Those tribals are known as Maori tribe. They fought for 160 years to see that their river gets a status of a legal entity. That means the river will get rights like a person. So this was the first in the world. But India is different. We call our rivers as mothers. Muthai, Bhimai, Krishnai. So we have to be a step ahead. a notch higher. We should ensure that our rivers get a status of a mother. So that's really a challenge before the entire community, and I would urge, if the legal law students are hearing this, they take up this, because this is such an important issue for all the generations to come. If we want to protect our rivers, if we have to ensure the water security and sustainable use of water, this is at the base, it is at the foundation of it. Because once the river gets a legal status of a legal entity, then this recognition allows it to be represented in court. You all are aware that you can represent the river in the court. On these lines, there was a PIL before the Allahabad High Court that please give Ganga River status of a legal entity in 2018 on the lines of this New Zealand judgment. And our courts declared Ganga as a legal entity, giving the guardian's responsibility to the Chief Minister of Uttarakhand. But he went to Supreme Court and prayed there, "Sir, I cannot take the responsibility of Ganga." And so Supreme Court overturned that decision of providing Ganga a status of legal entity. But our time perhaps has now arrived. If all the law students study the available laws, if they study the available provisions, perhaps a large movement in India could be, kind of created around this particular issue to give our rivers a legal entity status. Once we are able to give, then anybody can represent the rivers to say that these lands are my lands. The Ganga will say, these lands are my lands. You have no right to encroach upon that. You have no right to compromise my ability to nourish my children with fresh, pure water. You are not allowed to put polluted water in my flow. So I believe that such initiatives is undertaken by the law students. Not only it will bring about water security henceforth, it will also show the way to the world. Because nobody has prayed for the status of a legal entity as a mother. And mother means more than a person. It nourishes not only the human beings, it nourishes the entire nature, the entire ecology. We do not perceive water only from the human-centric point of view. The water is there for the fishes. The water is there for the aquatic life. I think this is where I would rest my talk, and I would urge, if any questions are put to me, I am available. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your views with us that how we can preserve or conserve the water. The first thing which you have said, that from 2015 to 2021, we don't have a water policy. And you said that it is the responsibility of all the law students as well as the government to see that how we can frame a water policy so that we can conserve the water for the future generation also. Thank you very much, sir, for enlightening us with the talk. Now, the second speaker today with us is Honorable Shri Vinod Bodhankar, sir. In 1988, sir gave up a career of IT to start Vishwa Sanskriti Ashram, Tulapur, Pune, where sir teach healing and leadership ethics and contribute Vishwa Sanskriti vision and mass motivation techniques to environment initiatives of government and NGOs. Since 2011, as a co-founder and a joint director of TAA Sagar Mitra Abhiyan, Sir recruited 175 students in the six cities of Pune, Jalgaon, Vaikota, New York, and Beni Millal, Morocco, and have networked different recyclers to receive the recollected plastic in each place, thus saving countless fishes and birds from waste plastics. Sir is partnered with the government in launching of plastic waste free Pune and initiated Sagar Sankul and Sagar Gram project with 50,000 citizens for housing societies and villages to motivate solid waste segregation at source in every family. In recognition of 30 years of leaving the role of model of an educational and eco-cultural innovator in mentoring people's participation, Sir is awarded with Jal Rishi Sanman 2017 at National Convention brought free India, Bijapur, Karnataka by Dr. Rajendra Singh and Karnataka Chief Minister. Sir is a mentor for ecological awareness in schools with Niti Aayog, Atal Innovation Mission for Schools. Now I request our sir to address the students. So please.
Thank you so much, and I'm really glad that Narendra Bhai brought up the principles of natural justice. Am I audible? Sunai de raha hai, theek. So I'm
Yes, sir.
really fortunate. We dream about this kind of a world where we respect the river as mother and we respect the ocean as the source of life, because the first life started in the oceans. When we imagine this administratively, then we look at a different constitution for India, where we see that the first three words, we the people itself, are not sufficient. Because I'm speaking with Advocate Rajendra Umabji and luminaries of the principles of natural justice, from which the principles of human justice are evolved. I see all of you in the domain of law as 1/3 of our civilization, because we have our executive, we have our legislature, and we have our judiciary. But then really in all these three, our constitution is permeating completely. So I see all of you as Satya, Nyaya, or Prem ke. Prem, by Prem I mean compassion towards all. Satya, Prem or Nyaya ke Vishwasta. All those who are working with law are the trustees of the truth. They give the judiciary gives the decision about what is the truth about the river. So I'm speaking to the people who are the trustees of the truth, the compassion, because hearing must be compassionate for both the sides. Nature will place her silent akrosh, and human beings will, come with their industrial needs and their agricultural needs and their drinking water needs. And our silent partners are silent. What is the use of a constitution which does not consider silent partners? So the first reform in every constitution on my planet, I belong to 197 countries. So every constitution of every country, we the people of all species. And we must have 2 people representing the tiger, elected in India for that. We must have 5 people representing every river, elected for the river, not for any constituency. Really, if we want to do administrative work on this, we have to aim for that. Otherwise, who is going to speak? Only NGOs in corners? So we have to have a structure where our constitution changes to we the people of all species. The rest of the laws will change. We can put a team on that. Second part I want to speak about, this is an opportunity for root cause analysis. And when we do the root cause analysis, we find that really what is happening here, when we say sustainable use of water, there are 3 chapatis and 2 people eating them. And now suddenly those 2 have become 20. And now we cannot have sustainable use because people are now grabbing for each other. I think that is also a question. How are we sharing this? At the same time, how much is humanity sharing with those who are already the silent users of this water? And by the principles of natural justice, they were using it with such a wonderful, compassionate sensitivity to the truth of water, to the flow of water, that the water was pristine. The water was giving life. And this water we have to sustain. The point is, what is the meaning of water? Because if we are with the judiciary, we have to now bracket the word water and say, what do we mean by that? Because if you have only pure water, human being cannot live on it. So what is this thing called water that we are out to save has to be delineated. Water means the minerals in it. They are not water, right? Water means the minerals in it. Water means the dissolved oxygen in it, which is over and above the H2O. Water means the sunlight in the water. Please hold up a glass next time you go to a hotel and see that it is not water, but water plus sunlight. It is one of the miracles of universe that water and sunlight are two things existing in the same place at the same time. This is impossible, according to many people. But water and sunlight exist in the same place at the same time, if we allow that. And please, if water had a voice, water would say, because of this sunlight, I have life in me. Because the next part that water needs is space. And as Narendra Bhai was saying, if you make the river too narrow, and the water doesn't have space, even the surface area of the water will not be exposed to enough sunlight. So if there is sunlight only in the first 15 feet of water, the rest of the water is dark. So this is also an encroachment on water. When we are in the domain of justice, we have to look at the details also. I won't go into all the details, just some examples. There is another part of water which I learned from one of my mentors, Dr. Sandeep Joshi. Water is a multi-species intelligence. And what we want to preserve is that water along with the species in it. Because if we don't preserve the species in the water, then it is not water. If my river in Mutha used to have 70 species of fish and there are only 2 species left now, that water is not the water which was there earlier. So we have to have a judicial language for what do we mean by water. So water is ocean, water is river, water is lakes, water is every drop. But what is the water we want to preserve? It means the quantity of water and the quality of water. The quality of water involves also how much sunlight is there. How much of the water surface is turbulent so that it absorbs the dissolved oxygen. All of this becomes what is to be preserved. For the use of water, we have to sustain the water. When we sustain the water, we have to take a look at what do we have to preserve there. What are we sustaining? So we are also sustaining the exposure of the water to sunlight. This is just an example. There are different ways in which the water interacts and all those interactions have to be preserved. Human beings being what they are, non-spiritual largely, are still caught up in the body and the lifetime of the body, which is 60 years or 100 years, and they plan only for that. And what happens in that time, they take to be a result. Narendra Bhai perfectly said right in the beginning that we are planning for multiple generations. Not only that, we are planning for creating a merging of what is the role of the human being in sustaining the original Sanatan water cycle which was there. Because when we were not there, it was going along very well. It was going along very well, the healthy body. Humans came in and we started demanding more than our share. So for me, the legal issue here, we must go into fundamentals, because all the earth is seated today, 7 billion people, trying to look at sustainability of water. It's not just us 7 or 8 of us. So here we cannot talk about Delhi to Delhi. We have to think about the judicial principles, the natural law. Human beings are taking too much of a share, no doubt about it. So we will have to identify what share is needed by the others. I'm going to illustrate it in a little bit. So we are all into legislation about industry, agriculture, drinking, and now we want the mother river to have her freedom, aviralta, nirmalta, swatantrata. At the same time, we'll have to identify the species also in every river and regain those species, and we have to identify the dissolved oxygen content of the river and regain that again. Internationally, there are 3 rivers which are said to be revived so that the quality of the water is the water of the original river. These are Thames River, there is Hudson River, and there is the Rhine River. So we will have to study the legalities through which they created that. It took 40 years for each of these rivers to bring their dissolved oxygen from 2 to 8 parts per million, 2 parts per million to 8 parts per million. So very essentially, one of the legal, identifiable international norms and standards by which all the judges and all of humanity as a court, as the darbar of human beings, can decide if the river has been sustained by us is to check if the dissolved oxygen has been sustained. None of the plans which are given by India for any work which is being done on water are including this as the primary clause. If my mother is not well, I have to check the HB reading, no? The ability of my mother's blood to absorb oxygen. So if my river is to be sustained and revived and maintained like that, we'll have to keep a daily, minute-wise, minute-to-minute study of dissolved oxygen. This is one part. I'm quickly going to the next part. The largest silent partner for humanity. Who is the largest silent partner for sharing the water? So the largest silent partner, surprisingly, is the ocean. Surprisingly, it is the ocean. Because for the ocean to live her life, she needs some things. I'm going to point out only 2. I'm going to point out only 2 of the things. Because a meeting like today, when we sit together, संकट है तो हम साथ में बैठते हैं, और साथ में बैठते तो हम दिशा देखते हैं, उसकी गति तय करने के लिए जरा समय लगेगा, क्योंकि उसकी जो विड्थ है वो तो देखनी पड़ेगी. हम पूरी विड्थ नहीं देखते तो that is we are not listening to the whole case. So we tend to listen to human beings. If we had our silent partner, the ocean, with us, the ocean would say, there are millions of things I was getting before human beings started demanding their share. So I want all those things back. I'm not going to go into the whole list, but only 2 parts. The ocean needs her greenery. The ocean needs her greenery. I'm going to link this. The maximum greenery in the ocean is called phytoplankton. These are single-celled creatures with a dot of chlorophyll in them. And if the ocean is to have her greenery to fulfill her function, then if the greenery dies because of human activity, then 70% of the oxygen which is recycled on my planet and your planet is recycled by this phytoplankton. Even if we do all the cases in the world and replant all the billions of trees on the land, we are going to have only 30% oxygen. Because terrestrial green gives only 30% oxygen. The ocean gives us 70% oxygen. She demands her right as a mother to be a data. She wants to give 70% oxygen. A mother who is divorced will say, I want my monthly money because I am going to take care of my children. So ocean is mother who says, I want to give my 70% oxygen because that is my task given by God to me on my planet. And so we must give her 70% oxygen and the phytoplankton. But then she says, or her advocate will say, for that greenery to stay alive in me, I need the sunlight in me. Because if the sunlight does not penetrate the top 15 meters of the ocean, the greenery dies. And here I come to a very small topic of responsibility, because we are administrative. We are administrative here. We are saying something which if we say here, it can be started now at this instant. That is administrative. The largest patch of plastic on the ocean is 2000 kilometers by 800 kilometers, exhibit number A. I'm in the court of human mind. Exhibit number A. The largest patch of plastic on the ocean is 2000 kilometers wide and 800 kilometers north to south. ये 6 महाराष्ट्र के इतना प्लास्टिक ह्यूमन बीइंग्स में मेरे ऊपर फेंका है, या एडवोकेट कहेगा कि to the judge कि look, this is what these people have done. The ocean does not blame the human being. She will keep on sending the rain to them very generously. But she says, because of this, I don't want the human beings to be punished, but I cannot now supply my 70% oxygen. I cannot do my function. As the government of this planet, she's been given a function. So someone is obstructing the government officer from doing his duty. So the ocean says, please save the plastic, keep it on the ground, because if the plastic spreads up to 6 Maharashtra, the sunlight is not reaching my greenery. And this is an injustice. And where do I make the call for justice? So I have to make this call in the human court. Where do I make the legislation? Where the constitution is represented, but the constitution represents only human beings, we the people. So we the people of all species, combined with those who will represent our silent partners, we have to completely reform our constitutions, completely. So the ocean says this. Now I'm going to come to the primary component of ocean is also dissolved oxygen. She says, please keep my dissolved oxygen safe. You will be shocked that dissolved oxygen, when it reduces, the phytoplankton die. They die because sunlight does not come. They die if the DO dies also, if the dissolved oxygen goes down. Human pollution has reduced the dissolved oxygen of oceans till 40% of our phytoplankton are dead in the last 40 years. Exhibit number B. 40%, ocean is saying 40% of my greenery through which I was fulfilling the function was 70% giving oxygen to the earth. That has been killed because of pollution. Now, this thought has to be kept in every human mind. It is not only the judiciary which will do it. It is not the NGOs who will do it. Every single human being in school must be taught that we are destroying the ocean and the ocean is calling for justice. As much as it is true that every river is an identity, the ocean is the father of all these rivers, because without her rain, they cannot flow. I'll come to the last part. We found that who amongst the human beings listens to this and acts immediately in justice? So who understands the natural justice? Who are the trustees of Satya, Prem and Nyaya? We found that to be high school students. With 150 children, we placed before them the approach of the ocean. They started collecting 100 and 200 grams of plastic, sometimes in bottles also like this, stuffing plastic inside. 150 children created an example of natural justice for the ocean, to save the ocean. We call them Sagar Mitra. Next year, 10,000, 21,000, 41,000 or 61,000 ho gaye. The 61,000 students collected in the year 3 tons of plastic, and they saved a huge part of the ocean because of that. In that year, they got an international award called Sagar Mitra. So actually for the adults, it is Sagar Vishwasta, trustees of the ocean. But Vishwasta is a difficult word. Sagar Mitra is easier. So a lot of thinking went into creating the identity of the children as Sagar Mitra. So these children now today, if in 2015, they got an international award called Ocean Hero for saving oceans. Today, what they collected in 1 year, 3 tons, they are collecting every week during the pandemic also. In Pune alone, we have 172,000 children who are Jala Vishwasta or Sagar Mitra or Sagar Vishwasta. And every week they are fetching in 2.5 tons of plastic, what they used to take 1 year to collect, even during the pandemic. So what I'm saying is, when we speak about justice, we are in a theory. What we say must be immediately applicable now. And those who are listening must now start keeping plastic aside today for the rest of their life. That is called sanskar. जल साक्षरता तो हो गई, फिर जल संस्कार आता है और घर घर में घुस जाए तो जल संस्कृति होती है. इस दिशा में हमें जाना है. उसमें we will have to rewrite our constitutions. This is definitely there. We must make a case for the first line. I will personally, whenever I have the resources and the time, I will make a case in the World Court that we the people is really outdated now. We the people of all species, and we the people who represent the silent voice of all the life support systems. Let there be a parliament which represents, apart from representing human beings, every species must be represented by one person. Yes, we must have that. Otherwise, how are we reimagining the world? If we continue to do what we have been doing, we are into sustainable development, we are not into Kranti. So, जो कर रहे हैं वो और ज़्यादा पेडल लगाएंगे, और पेडल मारेंगे और पेडल मारेंगे, साइकिल चलते रहेगी. So, we'll have to redesign the cycle. We have to redesign the human minds and tell them, look, principles of natural justice can be understood by children. They can do work for the ocean. And then the last part I will say, today, where is this movement of children? Where the moment we tell them, they start doing justice to the river and the ocean. If they save 10 kilos of plastic and bring it to us for recycling, we buy it and we recycle it. If they save 10 kilos, they save a kilometer of ocean. So this is not theory. This is hardcore practice on the ground. No country in the world has a budget for the ocean, madam. These children have their tan, man, dhan, samay as a budget for the ocean already. So they are already the leaders of the future. I'm concluding with this. The government took nearly 8 to 10 years to learn that this is a thing which should be a government administrative program through the ministry, which is an administrative ministry of education. And so the Pune Municipal Corporation has given us the responsibility of 800 schools. It's an administrative responsibility. 172 we have completed, but with the resources of PMC, PCMC, we will now swiftly do what is needed. That is one part. The second part is, in May, we are meeting with the mayor of New York, where we are meeting people from the United Nations also. Because ये दिल्ली और यहाँ के लोग मुझे पता नहीं legislation में change लाएंगे क्या, तो UN से आना पड़ेगा. हम UN के program में ही बैठे हैं कि every school should teach ocean identity now. That there is a brown nation and there is a blue nation. There should be 2 passports. So if I am from Ukraine, all right. If I'm from Russia, all right. But both of us are from the ocean. Every child must be given an ocean passport. This is an administrative requirement. So then they say, I am responsible for every nation which pollutes my ocean because ocean is my blue nation. My brown nation is India, but the ocean is my blue nation. This is a hardcore thing which can happen within 3 years on the planet. We will do it. We'll do it. Because administratively, we have to change the minds of people to take in all the situation. Otherwise, as judge, we are not listening to the whole case. We are not listening to our silent partners. So I place before you only one reality now, that Raigad Taluka has called us. Baramati has called us to do this with every citizen of Baramati. Plastic is a nimitta. Along with it, everything else comes. Raigad Taluka called us online. And when we went there to give this same talk, there were 809 Sarpanch. And now we are starting in 75 villages, a program which we have successfully done administratively in Sagar Gaon, Sangrun, where all 250 families are not throwing plastic. It's amazing. So they are alive to the principles of natural justice because the principles of human justice are not telling them to do this yet. I will come to the end. What are we sustaining here actually? I was just sketching a pencil sketch. There are so many oil paints which can fill it over the years together. It's just a pencil sketch. I come to the conclusion. Are we really saying we sustain the water? हमें विरासत में जल मिला है, समंदर में मिला है, पर हमें विरासत में हमारे बच्चे मिले हैं. हमें विरासत में खुद भी मिले हैं as instruments. और हमें विरासत में खुद के भीतर की जो अनंत कैपेसिटी है वो भी मिली है. So we have an infinite capacity to bring about change. For that, we have to define our role, because I come to what I am taking away from here today. If I define my role, I define my responsibility. And if my role is that of a trustee to all life, Jivan Vishwasta. If my role is that of trustee to life, then water is only one component of it. So we have to sustain the voluntary trusteeship which is there in human beings. ये विरासत में मिली है. A few enlightened people showed us that what ability to take responsibility, which is a virasat. They became पूर्ण समय. They gave up everything to be responsible. हमारी सबसे बड़ी विरासत है कि हम जिम्मेदारी ले सकते हैं. तो जिम्मेदारी लेने की जिम्मेदारी जो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन में दी है कहीं 51A something like that. जिम्मेदारी लेने की जिम्मेदारी है हमारी सबसे बड़ी विरासत है. और बच्चों के भीतर ये बहुत जल्द में आता है. हमें यदि ये जल्दी करें एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिवली, सो 1.2 बिलियन चिल्ड्रन के बीच में समंदर की जिम्मेदारी कम से कम देते हैं तो वो कृति में आ जाएंगे. और कृति में से वो मिलियंस ऑफ किलोमीटर्स ऑफ ओशन दे विल सेव. 10 kilograms is saving 1 square kilometer of ocean. They are fetching 2.5 tons every week. Please calculate. So they are having an impact which even the governments don't know. Even in the budget, it is not there. In the constitution, it is not there. That our budget should be tan, man, dhan, samay, and about all these silent partners. I think human beings are about 0.02% of the silent partnership. We'll have to represent the silent partners in our constitutions. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for enlightening us with your thoughts. You suggested that first we have to change the constitution, wherein we have to write we the people of all species. And if we want to protect our ocean, तन मन और धन से सब लोगों ने उसके लिए काम करना चाहिए. तभी हम पानी को या वाटर को कंजर्व कर सकते हैं फ्यूचर जनरेशन के लिए. Thank you very much, sir. Now I request Yash to ask the question to Bodhankar sir because sir has to leave early. Right, sir?
Thank you very much, ma'am. Let me just confess this, that I feel really, really blessed to have heard two of the biggest stalwarts in river conservation. Sir, in this span, in very enlightening session, so we're flooded with questions. So we'll start with Vinod sir first. Sir, plastic pollution, as has rightly been pointed out by you, has become one of the biggest menace when it comes to water pollution. Sir, what technological and legislative changes do you recommend to fight with this particular phenomenon?
I always try to go into a root cause analysis. In about 3 lines, I will try to summarize. Technical and legislative changes come if there is a will to be engaged with that. The will to be engaged should come from those with responsibility for society through the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. For instance, when we say to the children, you throw a piece of plastic and it is spoiling the ocean, we will say to the Prime Minister and Chief Minister also, please keep a bag of plastic on your table. Whatever you use, keep it in that bag. And please carry the bag with you and show everybody. The principles of natural justice are best given in the Bhagavad Gita, where through the voice of Krishna, which is a Nimitta avatar, the universe says to all mankind that what is done by the person who is prominent is emulated by the others. If you give a legal pressure, it may take 500 years. In 2011, the Supreme Court said that segregation should be there at home. But unless the child decides, I'm voluntarily looking after the ocean because I see fish and birds are dying, वो अहिंसा को लेके जब उसमें will आता है उसका, so where there is a will to study and a will to be engaged, why not from the top? So I'll give you the administrative result we have in Nasrapur and other villages. When we went there, they said, go and talk to the people, we'll bring them into the temple. I'm speaking about now law. We'll bring them into the temple. And then you speak to the people. We said, no, we'll speak only with the Sarpanch and the Gram Sevak. Because if they change, everyone changes by emulation. So we sat for 3 hours and said, unless you bring the plastic yourself from your home, please don't call me. Do you see they have passed a Tharav now? Tharav is a law at the local level. The Tharav is, unless all the Gram Panchayat Sadasya bring their own plastic collected to the office, they are not allowed to enter the meeting. So unless until the people at the top start collecting the plastic and take responsibility for the kilos and kilos of plastic we are throwing, then we are not brushing our teeth. Do you see? If for oral hygiene, 8 billion, 9 billion people have to brush their own teeth, for the ocean and river hygiene, everyone will have to pick their plastic. So the first principle is, जो राजा है उसने करना है, वो कोई साहेब बन गया क्या? तो इसमें equity आती है. See, our principles of justice do not have the heart, the spiritual equity which is meant there. जितना बड़ा है उतनी उसकी responsibility बड़ी है, and he must appear to be doing that. So if we have all the prime ministers and presidents here today, we will ask them to do what the Sarpanch is doing. And because the Sarpanch and all are bringing plastic, the whole village is bringing. Every family is bringing. So it is so simple. By example, when we do it, then we can decide how this happened and make the laws for it, and we can make the technology for it. Because that always follows the will of the leaders and the willingness of the leader to not be a leader. The willingness of the leader to not be a leader and to do the basic thing himself or herself. Gandhiji, when he went to a village, would clean 2-3 toilets because he knew that he was going to spoil them later. I'll rest my case here. Thank you so much. I think questions may go to Narendra Bhai. I'm here for another 4-5 minutes.
Sir, can we have a group photo? Because if you will leave it, so we can continue with the Narendra sir.
1:15 I will leave.
Okay, okay.
Absolutely,
Sorry,
sir. Thank you.
there is a similar program, so I have to go. I'm so sorry.
Yes. No problem, sir. Yes.
Yes, sir.
Now you can ask the question to Narendra sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, I equally feel very proud of the fact that the Environment Cell has taken on itself the challenge of enlightening the government agencies about the presence of microbeads in the water bodies of Pune and has given several recommendations to the Pune Municipal Corporation regarding the same. Sir, now we move on to the question which are directed towards Narendra sir.
May I just add one line here?
Yes, sir, please, sir.
The government doesn't come and brush our teeth. So the government will not come and segregate plastic at home. So by the principles of equity and the principles, because if the fish are dying, they are equal to us before God. So I have no right to throw the next piece of plastic. I just wanted to make this point. Thank you. Government will do what they do later. First, I have to do it myself. Thank you.
Absolutely, sir. And this has been one of the principles, one of the recommendations which we have given to the Pune Municipal Corporation as well, sir. Sir, the question which we have is on the relevance of community in water conservation, sir. Sir, what, according to you, is the role of the community, or can be the role of the community when it comes to water conservation, sir?
Yeah. Thanks. Yes. Regarding the community's role, I believe only the communities, when they come together, can save rivers, save their water bodies. We have seen in earlier times, at the local level, their traditional knowledge for water conservation and management was used at the local village level. There was no government to provide them water. They had their own do's and don'ts within the village community to ensure that nobody pollutes their water source. Nobody encroaches on the waterlands. They used to have judicious usage of water, equitable usage of water, and they used to have a very fine balance of whatever available at its water consumption. So the community was not only conserving water, they had so much of knowledge, like in Rajasthan, they used to have, kind of basements even today, where they store the rainwater and use it only when that is required. So similarly, in all villages across India, not only in Rajasthan, all villages had developed over a period of time the do's and don'ts with their water bodies. So how much water can be drawn, how much water needs to be used for their cultivation, agriculture, how much water to be used for drinking, water kept reserved for the drinking of the cattle. So this knowledge was there. However, in recent times, the governments came in the scene and they said, we will take care of your water requirements. We will take care of your water needs. You need not worry. So what happened? We forgot. Nowadays, when you ask a child, where do you get milk? So he says, chitle se milk aata hai. He doesn't say buffalo milk hai ye buffalo. Similarly, we also have lost touch with our rivers. We have lost touch with our water bodies. Because we have lost touch with the water bodies and our rivers and other water bodies, we have forgotten to take care of them. And that's why this crisis. So your question about community, only the community is there to take and protect the water bodies. Because can you imagine somebody sitting in Delhi making laws and getting implemented? And that too about such a precious resource, natural resource on which your life depends. So when the communities have started realizing this, the communities have started recharging their own wells and bore wells. The communities have already started, putting pressure on their peers and on their colleagues not to encroach upon their water bodies, because they are finding that the water is in short supply. So the community is coming together to ensure that their water bodies are protected and water is conserved. So according to me, this is the decentralized, community-driven water management and water conservation approach. Because the centralized approach of, having large dams and then the politician and the leaders deciding whom to give water and whom not to give the water. So if they decide that this village has to be given water and this village needs to be deprived that because we don't have votes from them, then do you believe this will be a good precedent? It's the community which will have to take role of protecting its water and conserve its water. Only then water crisis can be resolved.
Absolutely, sir. Absolutely. Sir, the second question is regarding the Clean Ganga mission. And the question is, even in spite of so much funding and long time of its existence, the Clean Ganga mission is yet to become a success. Sir, what are the constraints, according to you, that is impeding this particular mission, this ambitious mission of the Government of India?
Vinod ji spoke about our entire vision, changing our entire lifestyle, our outlook, kind of amending our constitution to involve the people of all species. That's the solution. But till we reach that time, there are already laws which needs to be implemented in the current format itself. Polluter pays principle is there. There is a zero discharge policy which is there in existence. That is Prevention of Water Pollution Act already there. I think it is legal communities' role now to assert themselves that we will not allow any polluted water to get into our rivers. Forget only the Ganga. All rivers are Ganga. My Pune river is Ganga for me. So why do I allow any industrial effluent without treatment into my river? Why do I allow my municipal local bodies to put untreated sewage into the river? Why do, when there is a polluter pays principle, why don't I just kind of ensure that this is being used properly? Why can't I highlight? Why can't I call local municipal Maharashtra Pollution Control Board? Why are they not discharging their duties? So it is with the current laws itself. What Vinod Bhai just underlined, people's will. The day we decide we are not going to tolerate this, the day we decide, we, all the people, ye nahi chalega humko. Why are you forcing us to purchase water at 20 rupees a liter when there is billions and billions of liters flowing in the river? Why are you polluting my water source? Just to save some amount? When are we going to awake to this reality? The moment we get awake, Ganga will be clean. All rivers in India will be clean. We will be ensuring our water security. I think it's we have to celebrate Water Day every day. And that is the key perhaps.
Just before I leave, with your permission, Narendra bhai, ek do baatein karke main. The other day in another meeting also this thing came up, that the Constitution of India, when it came, before that also we declared that we are free from the British. वो कागज पे आ गया. उसके पहले 1857 में कागज पे आए ना आए, लोगों ने दिल में तो तय कर लिया कि मेरी रियलिटी में तो मैं फ्री हूँ. जैसे नेल्सन मंडेला जी है जो प्रिजन में थे 14 साल के लिए, तो वो कह रहे थे आप आपके मन के प्रिजन में हो, मैं तो ऑलरेडी फ्री हूँ फ्रॉम व्हाट चेंज ही वांटेड. सो द चेंज begins in my perception now, because I'm going for a root cause analysis. The legislation happens afterwards. and the change begins before. So the people who change first, उनका नक्शा नहीं रहता है, पर वो रास्ता सही रहता है. उनके रास्ते का नक्शा नहीं रहता है, उनका रास्ता सही रहता है. So they decide that who is anyone to say on paper whether I am free or not. I declare myself free. So under the justice of God, तो वो भगवान के दरबार में कहता है कि तो मैं तो जानता हूँ, it is a self-evident truth that humans are born free. It is part of the Declaration, American Declaration of Independence. It is a self-evident truth. So when we build on self-evident truths, we don't have to wait for a legislation, because if it is self-evident that something is polluting, I can stop before the legislation comes. So when we say think globally, act locally, people wait for everyone to change, फिर भीड़ के साथ बदलेंगे. And when we say think globally, act personally, we act on self-evident truths. So I felt that when we are in human justice, we wait for legislation. When we are in natural justice, we act on self-evident truths, and therefore we can create the narrative which is later supported by the judiciary. So the pioneers who create the narrative have to live in free space where they have to go beyond where they are, because if they keep doing what was being done, they will keep getting what was being got. So it is upon the pioneers to do that. I think in India, there are many pioneers coming together now, and talks of pioneering are going on. Even these talks are trying to do root cause analysis. So I'm so happy I'm here. Narendra Bhai and me have been together for 43 years. So all these points we have discussed threadbare for hours together. So you know, it's I am speaking, it's Narendra speaking. Or if he is speaking, it is Vinod speaking. It is how close we are working together. So really, it's a blessing to be here together with you, Narendra Bhai, and all the people here. Advocate साहब खास करके आपको, आपके कोर्ट में हम लोगों ने कुछ एग्जिबिट्स रखे हैं, तो मैं अभी अलविदा लेता हूँ. प्लीज परमिट मी टू लीव फॉर द अदर प्लेस. थैंक यू सो मच. बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Sir, as you know, our show is live. We're beaming live through our social media platform. The response which we've got for this particular show is something phenomenal. And the response shown by the youth is extraordinarily in favor of the conservation methods which both our honorable speakers have espoused. And the last and final question is addressed to particular this thing as to how can the youth be involved in this mission of water conservation and river rejuvenation, sir?
Yes. Day before yesterday only, we had a national convention on Agrani River Vishwast Sammelan. You know, Agrani, Dr. Rajen Singh said that Agrani River is now flowing, but it has to remain flowing henceforth. This is the second phase. To take the responsibility, who will take this responsibility? So the individuals from every village will take this responsibility. But how will they take the responsibility unless they know the entire river? So he said, we should start Nadi Pathshala for youngsters. We should start a water literacy program for youngsters. You know, which is, as I mentioned here earlier, on 28th of March, Nadi Pathshala course is going to get started and flagged off in Ferguson College. Now, what does this Nadi Pathshala? Whatever me and Vinod Bhai talked about the rivers here, when the students or the youngsters get exposed this, because it's not a literacy course in that sense. It's very much a mixture of field visits as well as understanding what rivers are. Not only what the civil engineering view of river is, but also the natural justice view or the nature's view of river, how river is rejuvenating the entire nature. If we understand this Nadi Pathshala, through Nadi Pathshala, if we understand rivers, our water bodies, then perhaps the youths will get involved. Because when there is a time of crisis, we all know, we all say very casually that if the Third World War happens, it will be because of water. But once we decide here, the youngsters decide perhaps We are not going to have third world war. We will solve this crisis. Then if they come forward, we will see that the third world war doesn't happen, around water at least. And through water, the peace will prevail in the entire world. That is also a confidence. That's also a confidence. So no wars henceforth. Because when we have been working with water, when we go to any village, every single community member gets represented. There are no party affiliations. There is no BJP person, there is no NCP, there is no Congress, there is no Shiv Sena, nothing. Everybody leaves their caps outside and we sit around water, its conservation, its management, and its rejuvenation and its sustenance. So water is a binding factor. It can bind all the opposing persons, who might be opposing each other in any other field. But around water, they all come together because they all know Jal Jeevan hai. जीवन के अगेंस्ट कोई काम नहीं करता, लाइफ के अगेंस्ट कोई काम नहीं करता, इसलिए पानी यूनाइटिंग फैक्टर है। और मुझे लगता है ये यूथ्स भी बहुत जल्दी जानते भी हैं। हम ये नहीं कहेंगे कि हम आ गए और इनको सिखाएंगे, वो जानते हैं ये सब बातें। सिर्फ एक साथ में आके एक सिनर्जी फील करने की बात है। जब यूथ आ जाते हैं तो उनकी जो एनर्जी लाते हैं वो जो एनर्जी इस काम में लाएंगे, वी आर अमेज्ड, दे कैन रियली शेक द वर्ल्ड। सो लुकिंग फॉरवर्ड टू youngsters taking up the water crisis head on and together trying to solve this. I think that's my answer. Thank you.
Precisely, sir, very much. I'm sure the youth would be willing to support you in this particular initiative. With this, we now move to the vote of thanks. It is to my honors that I have got this opportunity to present the vote of thanks for today's event. At the outset, we would like to fondly remember our founder chancellor, Dr. Patangrao Kadam sir, because of whose blessings this event has been a great success. We are grateful to our esteemed guests, noted environmentalist, Honorable Dr. Narendra Chugh sir, senior member, Pune Jal Biradari, Honorable Mr. Vinod Bodhankar sir, co-founder of the Sagar Mitra Abhiyan Pune, for having taken out time from their busy schedule and gracing this occasion. We express our sincere gratitude to Honorable Advocate Rajendra Umap sir, Vice Chairman, Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa, for gracing this occasion with his esteemed presence. A special mention of the unwavering support provided to us by our visionary and dynamic principal, Dr. Ujjwala Bendale ma'am, Dean and In-Charge Principal of Bharati Vidyapeeth Deemed University, New Law College, Pune. Also, nothing seems to be complete without acknowledging the efforts by Dr. Jyoti Dharma madam, Head of the Environment Cell, and Dr. Jayashree Khandare madam, the Coordinator of the Environment Cell, Bharati Vidyapeeth Deemed University, New Law College, Pune, who have made the Environment Cell what it is today and have equally ensured that the spirit of environmental conservation is well percolated in the hearts and minds of all students. We equally thank Advocate Aniruddha Kulkarni sir, Standing Counsel, Government of Maharashtra, member NGT Bar Association Committee, for providing the necessary assistance in the Environment Cell's every initiative. Lastly, we thank all of you, all our volunteers, non-teaching staff, members of our technical team, through whom we could connect through this digital space. Once again, from the bottom of our hearts, we say thank you.
It is a request to all the members. We have an online photograph, so everyone should on their camera. Umap sir, if you are with us, please on your camera so that we can have a photograph.
Yes,
Narendra, yes, sir. Narendra Chugh sir, Dr. Narendra Chugh sir, he's with us.
Let me
Yes,
straighten the record here. I am not a doctor. Please do not include doctor word.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Thank you for that.
Okay, sir.
Yes, done. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
It was a great experience, and thank you for involving us in this program. Thanks, sir.
Thank you very much.